On this episode, we discuss the Falcons season and quarterback dilemma, as well as the state of college football and what the future could hold. Also, we cover the huge signings so far in the MLB and what the Cubs season is going to look like next year. And of course, we get off topic towards the end and discuss some new diet routines we've implemented. We hope you enjoy. We want to get into this first episode talking about all the things that we love, and that's Falcons, that's college football, that's bowl games.
It's bowl season.
College football playoff coming up. MLB offseason so far, just some of the wild contracts have been thrown out. But just to get into it, I know what I predict, 11-6 for the Falcons this year.
I think we had you at 12-5.
Yeah,
Was it
we had you at 12-5,
Not
Went
looking
down the schedule.
Not looking. It was the easiest schedule in the league,
and here we are.
Catastrophic turnover after catastrophic turnover.
Defense looks okay.
Defense looks great.
Until
Loving where they're at.
Base guard
until closing time.
Yeah.
So give it to me though, Arthur Smith. What do you got?
Yeah, I don't know.
I need at least a quarterback coach in the building. We don't have a quarterback coach. Obviously, don't have an offense coordinator.
What is Dave Ragone's title? Do you know?
Mm-mm.
He's like an offensive assistant or something.
Analyst or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. But what I'd like to see is just some extra help. Get an extra set of eyes in there with some game plan.
Mm-hmm.
Just from seeing my Twitter footage, there's a lot of plays that I'm not liking what I'm seeing.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Does the scheme not fit
Once we start breaking
our
it
talent?
down. Once you start breaking it down.
Because you got to
just some
think, like,
plays that
we have
just don't make
electric
sense.
minus really, like, I don't know, like, is Pitts not who we...
I don't think he's healthy, personally. I don't think he's fully healthy. And from what I've seen, heard, and read, he's really, really hard on himself. He's also super young. He's like 23 or something. Like, he's super young.
3.
Yeah. He came out after his third year, and he was only 20, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. It's
So-
crazy. I forget he's been in the league for 3 years.
Yeah. So I don't think he's fully healthy yet. And I think that's where you're not seeing some of the, like, after catch ability and some of the route running. I feel like he's still
But the
trying to
after
get
catch
into the
ability is like our
gate.
whole team right now.
Well, we don't.
Up until this
we don't
most
have an
recent week
elite
against the
wideout.
Colts.
Well,
like yards after the catch has been irrelevant. Every receiver is getting hit as they catch the ball.
I really like Drake London. I think
He's complete.
you don't.
I don't mind Drake London. I just don't think he's not a guy. Like, he's not a guy when he gets the ball, you're like, oh.
No, he's not. He's like he's the possession guy. He's gonna dominate that like intermediate route. He's got great hands. He's a
great number
guy.
two. Great number two.
Or if you get someone opposite him that is more of like the separator, I think that really would open things up. And I think that's what they were hoping with Van Jefferson. And obviously that hasn't worked out. The Scotty Miller thing hasn't worked out as well as they hoped. But I mean, I think if you were to really boil it down, I think it's two things. I think it's inconsistencies in the run game. I've just seen a lot about like run success rate this year compared to what it was. They were like third in the league last year in success and run rate, and this year they're like 25th. And I think that plays a lot into it as well. And then obviously, I mean, the quarterback's like the easy target for why we haven't been as successful as everyone thought we were going to be. So
yeah, quarterback play is a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's a huge problem, and I don't know what we're gonna do about that. Obviously, we have got to do something about it. Like, you can't just let him continue. It's like he has flashes where you're like, okay,
if his first read's there, the ball's on the money.
correct.
If it's not,
Or
It's
watch
Heineke
out.
gang.
Yeah,
on
watch,
this way.
Watch out.
It's Heineke gang this way.
And so it's kind of frustrating to me because it's like, I don't know. This is why the NFL just bugs me. Because like now, I mean, obviously we're at the end of the season, but at one point I felt like we're just playing to play. Like, we weren't really playing to like win. And like, it's kind of like my father-in-law, he's a huge Vikings fan, and he gets upset when the Vikings are tough on Kirk Cousins. He's like, Kirk Cousins is a okay, great, quarterback. He's not a game changer. Like, he's not going to be a guy that just takes over the game. He goes, he'll win you some games because he's consistent. And he'll throw. And like Kurt, they were on him this year, and he was throwing for like 3 bills consistently.
but my thing is, how many of those guys are out there? Like, people talk about them like that they're just like common. I mean, there's a couple in the game that you would say
that's
are
why
like
the season's been
upper
so kind of
echelon
Yeah,
trash
quarterbacks.
because the quarterback play across the league has been
bad.
yeah.
I mean, who would you say like? All right, Justin Herbert's one, right? One. I'm not saying number one, but he's one.
of
Joe
what, just
Burrow.
a
Joe
game
Burrow,
talking about, like,
Mahomes,
like
Allen, Hurts,
Lamar.
and Lamar.
Lamar.
But like other than that, like who would you say is like a true game changer? Like Dak's proven more this year than he has in the years past, but he's not. I wouldn't say he's like an ultimate game changer.
No, because when Dak's good is when Pollard and the rest of the crew are good.
Yeah.
The same thing with like Tua. You can be like, oh, well, Tua's had a great year. Well, he's throwing to
He's got
Tyreek Hill and
Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. So
And
like,
he's got Raheem Mostert and Devin A. Chain
Mike
and those
McDaniels.
guys.
and he
that
has a
dude.
great coordinator. That's what
Mike
I'm saying.
McDaniels
Like,
is that dude.
so that's why the Dolphins are so good is because you add all these pieces where, yeah, you do have good players. Like you say it all the time. You want to be good, well, you got to get good
Did you
players.
see that clip of Mike McDaniels where he called the one-play drive?
It's like one play drive. I'm feeling
Right
I'm
here.
visualizing.
If Waddle
it.
hits it, it's one-play drive. Split
But
it.
yeah, so I don't know. So that makes it interesting. Like, what are we going to do at that position? A lot of people were saying,
Fields?
obviously, Fields, which you already know how I feel about that. People hate on Justin Fields, but it's like Chicago is awful. No
Their
disrespect.
defense is
it's
nice.
a-
Their defense is nice.
No disrespect to our new Chicago listeners, but you guys are terrible, and this is coming from a Falcons fan.
Defense is nice. We're kind of in the same boat.
I think, man, it's such a interesting like question as at the quarterback position because I just have a hard time like Arthur Smith's coming back.
Right.
Yeah, I just would like to see
Arthur.
some.
I really
yeah,
do.
I do too.
I like Arthur a lot.
And I think the players like him a lot.
I think the
which
players
is
love
huge.
him. I think that's why they
Yeah.
have been playing as hard as they've been for him. And if you think about like, other than the two games early on against Detroit and Jacksonville, they've been really good games. Like we haven't gotten overmatched or blown out or anything. And you could say, soft schedule this, that, and the other. It's been a lot of heartbreak losses, typical
The Vikings
for
one
us.
is tough.
Vikings, the
My boy
Cardinals,
Josh Dobbs is on the
Vikings
practice
was
squad.
bad.
the Panthers,
Vikings were
the Tampa Bay at home.
That one
So
hurt. That was like
if
a vintage
like,
Falcons loss.
what does Arthur's offense look like with the above or an average quarterback? Even you saw that this past week against Indy. You get average quarterback play, and they
Well, and I
dominate.
think they
the
did
football
good
game.
at getting our electric players that we keep drafting in space and letting
Yeah,
them
so
work.
that leads me to my next, like one of the questions I'm thinking about.
But I'm saying, so if I gave you
Okay,
the
but here's
GM
the
hat,
thing.
if I gave you the
Okay.
GM hat and said Arthur Smith's coming back,
Yeah.
and you got to keep in mind next year is like the year, right? Like if he's if we have another season like this,
Oh yeah,
he's
He's
I would
gone.
imagine he's gone.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna go invest to me in go draft a rookie and put all your eggs in that basket. I really don't think that
No.
that's if your job.
but who's available
Well,
that
so
you
this
go
is
get?
what I'm going to say. I'm going to say you're
Fields?
going to go and get Fields because I
But
think
who else? Okay, say Fields doesn't work out. Who else?
no, that's it. That's
Who
all
else?
I would go
Who
get.
else are you gonna go get?
I mean, there's Kirk Cousins, but that's 36 off Achilles. Obviously, the one that was talking about
And
Russell
he's
Wilson.
gonna be
I just don't
Kirk
see
Cousins.
Russell Wilson culturally fitting with this group from what they've built because I do like what they've been building. You're not gonna bring in Ryan Tannehill. His fall off has been tremendous.
Yeah.
So like what?
Art got that boy paid.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Like,
So like, if Art can do that for Ryan Tannehill, like who is that guy that they're looking for?
Joe Flacco.
You joke
Boys
about.
are
I mean,
eating.
you
He
joke
threw
about
for
that, but
300
like,
yards this week.
yeah, I don't know. I think it's Fields or nothing. I think.
But do you think
So you
he's-
don't even want
do
to
you think Justin
entertain
Fields is
drafting
that
anybody?
good though? That's my question. And
I
I'm
think
not.
what?
And I'm not hating on the man's. I just think like other than his ability to run the football and be dynamic, what does he actually provide? Because I heard this on the radio today. His efficiency, passer efficiency, is worse than Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I just think that like the throws that he does, like he makes. I say that, but I guess the stats don't lie. When I watch Justin Fields, it looks like he's in control of the offense. If that makes sense, like when you watch games, like you can tell, like okay, this guy's got a good grip on things. A lot of people say he can't throw and stuff like that, which is just not true. Right, but I'm saying like if he knows what he's doing, and if he's got dudes who are in the right spot, like have you seen the the highlights that come out. Like last week, it was like another terrible throw by Justin Fields, and he throws like a 65-yard bomb to the tight end, and it clanks off his hands. It's like stuff like that has happened.
All those things though, and I don't even want to get into this discussion, but this is what I've heard about, like Caleb Williams, right? Like people are like obsessed with Caleb Williams, but when people that know football, I know football, but I can't break football down at all. But from what people like, he doesn't do the simple quarterback concepts well at all. He's just an unbelievable like playmaker off script. And to me, is that what Justin is? Is he just a really dynamic player that makes a lot of things off script? And the other thing I heard today as well was we go under center more than anybody else in the league. Justin Fields never goes under center. So what is that? Is that a match made in heaven? I feel like they would have already. The only reason we're linked to him, in my opinion, is because we passed on him once in the draft, and he's from here. Yeah, I don't think that. But I really don't think they have any interest.
Viable.
Well,
quarterback candidate.
And this is what I'll say: his ability to use his legs and to extend the play is something that would be great for us with the weapons that we have at bay, because what it's going to force the defense to do, just based off the fact that yes, he can run and that Art is definitely going to use them, it's going to force them into certain formations to which then we can use to our advantage. And I'm kind of like why I was high on Desmond Ridder is, and I had said this, you all know, like the end of Matt Ryan's career, I was ready to help him pack his locker himself. But I love a guy who can, on 3rd and 8,
take off,
break one, and get
somebody
9.
else you got to account for.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what Fields does. And so when you have that, Bijan Agier and Pitts, and then you can throw, because if you have Fields, you're going to run a lot more boot, you're going to run a lot more play action. The people like who struggle to get separation, the Drake Londons of the world. And then what my thing is if you go and get Fields, I think you can. What pick do we have this year?
We're probably going to be in like the 10 to 15 range.
Okay, perfectly fine. You can go get a number 2 wideout like Mbuka from Ohio State.
Defensive player.
Oh, brother. Me too. But I've passed on that boat. Once we drafted Bijan, I realized we're going to go score points.
Hey, but the defense is eaten, and the free agent signings they made in defenses.
That's what I've loved Terry. I loved what they've built, and I think that's one thing that what I love about Arthur Smith and what he talks about is just what they've built and the professionalism and the accountability and all those things are starting to come to fruition. I think we also forget, like, we do have a very young roster offensively, and with inconsistent quarterback play, that has led to a lot of the, well, why are we only scoring 19 points a game? Well, if you're not efficient in the red zone and you're kicking a lot of field goals,
fumbling in the red zone,
like that comes with experience too, man. Like our most experienced guy is Pitts. I'm saying of the weapons that you have is Pitts, and he's in his 3rd season.
And he's young, yeah.
I mean, his rookie contract.
That's what I'm saying. So, I don't see the Fields thing. I don't know what they're gonna do.
And I just don't see. But then you go look at the defense, and you see like Jesse Bates, Terrell's a seasoned vet now.
Mm-hmm. Caden Ellis
Okudah's been in the league for a minute.
El Jefe.
Caden Ellis.
Grady. Onyemata, Grady.
But you have like some like seasoned veterans out there, like leading the pack. Calais,
dude, and you know who's coming? Like some of the rookies, your boy Zach Harrison.
He's coming along.
He's coming along really well.
Some burn.
He's like, to me, what I've seen is he hasn't like made mistakes, right? He's just made the plays that are in front of him, and that's really all you can ask for.
He makes a lot of backside tackles. Like he finds himself like shutting off the running back.
He just lays over.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
And then Clark Phillips has been great. DeMarco Hellams from Bama's been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Been just, I think that they've got a good thing going, and that's why I really don't think they're going to get rid of Art, because you don't want to get rid of Art, lose Ryan Nielsen, all of a sudden you got high expectations, you're changing scheme, you're changing this, that, and the other.
Do you lose Ryan Nielsen when you lose Art?
I would imagine so, yeah. Because the new guy is probably going to bring in his own people. My guess is that they're going to force Arthur's hand and make him bring in not an OC, but like we were talking about, like a quarterback's coach or a young offensive, like innovative mind. Because they were talking about, there's a guy in Miami that does their passing games coordinator stuff. They're talking that because he was in Atlanta before, like every other great coach this league has, was in Atlanta before, and to bring him in and to get a little bit more of some of the speed motion, just create a little bit more leverage than I feel like what we've done. And I think that's why Art hasn't found much consistency at the quarterback position, because I think his stuff is a little bit more like nuanced in like some of the finer details, and I just don't know if the quarterbacks have picked it up as well.
Yeah, we also don't have the cats to do speed motion or cheat motion like the freaking Dolphins.
Oh yeah, I mean the Dolphins are a track team.
It's kind of like, but that's what I'm saying. If you do add just a quarterback with that extra, and maybe I don't know, I was gonna say maybe they need to run Desmond a little more, but he's not really a.
He's not gonna throw a pass ever in Atlanta again. He's done.
Yeah, I know. I'm okay with that.
Me too.
But that's just kind of
hate it for him.
And I don't even know like who we would draft. Like,
okay,
would you say? Would you?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know.
Would you take Jaden Daniels?
Well, that's what I've seen a lot of us projected to do that, but I'm like, I'm not really in on him.
I don't know. I haven't watched enough tape or film. To me, Drake May's more of like the type of.
See, if we take Drake May, I'll throw up.
Yeah, I'm not in on that.
I'm out on UNC quarterbacks.
I also
he's like older than Des,
I would a little lefty guy.
Yeah,
but then Caleb McGarry's your blind side. We've talked about that.
Okay. Well, he's made strides.
My thing, and this actually segues perfectly in the next part, is talking about college football. Talking about the quarterbacks, and I think one thing that I've seen a lot is obviously like society, we have trends, sports, you have trends. Like the quarterback obsession is at an all-time high. And I think that at any point that you're getting good quarterback play in college, those guys immediately vault themselves into this like top first round pick, early second round type thing. Wilson? Yeah, like you know what I'm saying? Because people have seen the success plan of how do you get good in the NFL? You build a roster and you do it while the quarterback is on his rookie contract.
Yeah.
So the obsession has gone super high. The priority's gone high of taking a quarterback. And I think that you get a lot of very average play that gets built up higher because of like the obsession over the quarterback. Like I'm not really convinced on the quarterbacks in this class. There's so many of them, and one might end up being really good, but I'm not like sold on this thought that Drake May or Caleb Williams or even Penix, some of these
guys that like come out and you're like, okay, that guy's gonna have a pretty good career in the NFL. Like Joe Burrow, felt very confident.
Felt very good about Joe Burrow.
CJ Stroud. I mean, I'm an Ohio State guy, but like you saw what he did versus Georgia. Basically the now Philadelphia Eagles, Georgia. Yeah. So it's like confident with him, but you have these guys who come out and I'm sure, they're great football players. Obviously they're getting drafted in the NFL, but it's just, you can watch them and you can just tell that they're not, exactly what everyone says that they are. And it's just kind of like, I don't really want, like, we took Desmond Ritter. What round was that? The third or fourth? Third round. So it's like.
But off rips, some people had him projected first round. They had like 3 quarterbacks projected.
That's what I'm saying. Round. But you could just watch him play. And like when he played.
Because who did Sam Howell too?
They played Bama in the playoff.
They played Bama in the playoff. That's right. And you could tell like he was throwing okay balls, but he was like a little bit late
or high.
Yeah.
Or
it's like
I feel like that game I saw like 6 batted down balls too.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of like
it was more or less like you were buying into the character of a guy because he's always won. So that's almost more and like, hey, he's got some good qualities. He's got a pretty good arm, and like I said, first read, he's ripping balls.
Yeah,
but
like Trevor Lawrence,
right?
Knew he was going to be okay.
Yeah,
they had to figure it out, but at the end of the day, he was going to be okay. The guys coming out now, like Caleb Williams, like obviously he's a good football player. I'm not sitting up here saying that he's not, but I'm just saying if you're looking at him, there's just something there that it's kind of like, I don't know if he's going to be the guy that is going to.
In the NFL, you have to make the plays that you're supposed to make.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And the other thing, too, is, man, like, some of these guys, too, they're so – and I know we've talked about Penix and we've talked about, Bo Nix, his name has been brought up. Like, no offense, but they should be good, man. Like, they're playing their 6th season in college football. Mm-hmm. And they've seen everything. Like same with Stetson Bennett, right? Like you've seen he's seen and experienced everything you can. Like I kind of hope that you're dominating kids that are 4 years younger than you.
You've been in the system for a while too, so you should know.
Right. And I'm just like that's why I'm not like fully. And even with Penix, right? Like I love what he's about. I love his attitude. Like, I love how he goes about it. But I mean, he's throwing to 2 guys that are like bona fide NFL dudes, you know, and it's like, okay, well, is that actually going to translate to the NFL?
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I feel like the quarterback position is the hardest thing there is to do in evaluating.
I just got in a conversation with a guy yesterday at the golf course. He was asking me about Ohio State and Kyle McCord going to Syracuse. And I said, well, the difference is, brother, Ohio State's got cats that are going to the league that are wideouts. Like, they're first-round guys. Syracuse, nothing against the Fighting Orange, but
nothing against the Qs.
They don't have a Marvin Harrison, a Mbuka, a Carnell Tate, a line. Yeah, a running game. Like, they don't got that. Yeah. And so he's going to be forced to make plays. Like, you thought you thought it was tough at Ohio State? Like, brother, you're throwing to Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
Like, good luck.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of one of those things, like, sometimes, you know, like, people are going, like, the Brock Purdy thing. Is Brock Purdy really that good, or does he have Christian McCaffrey and
he threw 4 picks?
Like, people
but it's
are
also both. Like, I don't want to get back on the NFL, but I mean, it's also both. Like, he knows where he wants to go with the football, and he puts the ball on the money most of the time.
Yeah,
like,
you got to make the plays you're supposed to make.
Yeah, you can't hate on my man for being in a great system with a lot of great players, and he gets the most out of them. Like, there's nothing wrong.
He's
with
doing
that.
what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
He's playing well.
He's doing his job.
Minus 4 picks, anomaly last week.
Yeah.
How do we feel? And I know we're kind of transitioning, but college football playoff. Obviously, this episode will come out the day of the games. Obviously, Mitch and I's team are
left
out.
on the outside looking in. You know,
so is Vanderbilt for that matter, but they
rebuilding.
But who we got first? We got Michigan versus Bama, and Bama's going to win. And I think there's just too much drama going on at Michigan.
Yeah, as a Georgia fan, Ohio State fan, see, I'm like,
you're torn.
I want Michigan to win. I think they could win.
Michigan very well could win. They're solid. The front 7 on both sides are solid.
I just want to see what happens if somehow Michigan gets into a passing game. If they actually have to
lose.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that obviously, like, we're not saying anything, you know, miraculous here or innovative. Like, if Michigan all of a sudden has to drop back and throw the ball 30 times,
they lose.
I just don't see it working out in their favor.
Yeah.
But to that point, Alabama's strength on defense for me is the secondary. And if you were to say if they have a weak point on defense, which I think they're a great defensive unit, would probably be the front, 7. So how's that actually going to stack up to Michigan wanting to run the ball 50 times?
Yeah, Michigan had the old school, I call it the Georgia set, 2 tight ends on the field, a lot of knee braces out there, and they ran it down
trenches.
our throat.
A lot of corn-fed boys.
A lot of big boys coming downhill.
A bunch of beef pushing each other around.
USDA certified Angus beef coming downhill. And the Ohio State boys wanted nothing to do with that. Well, we did when we stopped it.
Do you think my one worry for Alabama is going to be how can they maximize Jalen Milroe against a Michigan defense that's going to have a few more like tricks up their sleeve than I feel like you're
vertical. That's what they're going to do.
Than
but
a standard.
He's got to hit it.
He does.
He can hit vertical. It's the intermediate ball.
But what's different with him is too now he can run.
Oh.
And that's going to change. See, that's where Ohio State needed that. Like, we needed Kyle McCord to run. He didn't do it. But they're going to do that versus Michigan, and they're going to get, like I was talking, like when the Falcons get, if we got a running quarterback, they're going to put Michigan in a formation that is going to get that one-on-one matchup that they want. Like, they've been practicing all month trying to get these formations, get these alignments down. They're going to get them in situations, and the quarterback run is going to be a problem to where I think, like I told you last year, CJ had to have, 70 yards rushing for us to win, and I think he had 77.
Yeah.
And, I mean, granted, we had
it wasn't on him.
Potential targeting call.
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the kickers, take a scholarship. But anyways, I think they're just going to provide like that running avenue with the quarterback that Michigan's going to have to adjust. And I do see Alabama win. I honestly think it could be by 10 or 14.
Say, now your bias is talking.
No, I'm being serious.
But like, Because it comes down to it. If they take the lead,
Dude, Georgia is
if
good.
they take the lead, how's Michigan?
Oh yeah, I mean Georgia,
top 14.
Yeah.
and we're gonna get into that here in a second.
But Alabama, like, yeah, maybe I'm just, I don't know. I never think Ohio State is like that good. So maybe that's part of why I think Michigan is not going to be, because they struggled versus us. But like,
And then who else did they play? Penn State.
yeah, we are. Yeah, they played Penn State, and that was it.
An ugly game,
And that's it.
Horrible.
And they played Iowa.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's gonna come down to. I really think it's gonna come. I think it's gonna be like a 24-20 game.
Really?
Yeah.
Nah, I think Alabama puts up 40.
No chance.
Dude, look at
Michigan's
the
defense is
CFP
nice,
history though. Every team that wins is 40 plus.
I just don't see it. I really don't.
Like,
I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be
what was
like
the final
SEC
score of our
championship,
game last year? 42-41 or 40,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like
it was
that.
up
So
there,
80
yeah.
points. And who would, if you'd have told me Ohio State would have put up 40 on Georgia
Yeah,
last
but that's
year,
also an NFL quarterback. Like
Let's talk
that's
about
doing
the
that in the
TCU
league.
game.
TCU game.
Only 63 points put up.
Yeah.
But like, see what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be high scoring. I think like you got to score 40 to win the CFP.
And who are you trusting more, Nick or Harbaugh? Right.
Nick.
Is Harbaugh allowed to coach? Is he
I
back?
think so. Yeah,
Back.
He's going to the NFL after this year, anyways. But
he has to because he just got hit with
To where?
another sanction.
Another
I don't know,
sanction.
So is he
somewhere.
coaching?
Yeah, I'm sure his khakis be pressing out there, ready to roll. But
All right.
Boys, Dockers are clean, though.
dude, the funniest dude to watch is the guy behind him with the headset who has like the wire. He's like the wire feeder. So as he like sprints on the field, the guy's like feeding the wire. You'll catch him on TV, dude. He's so funny.
That's like Kirby's pullback guy.
Yep.
Just grabs the belt.
Yeah,
That's the only
just
job.
a belt
He's just out
grabber.
there belt grabbing.
That's funny. And then the other game, Texas Washington, that's going to be a shootout.
All right, we'll get. Let's get score predictions real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Bama 27, Michigan
Not enough.
21.
27-21. Put it on the big board. Put it on the screen. Poomp. Dansby's got 27-21. What you thinking?
27-21.
Yeah.
So we say, yeah.
I
I
like
think it's gonna be a slow game, man. It's gonna be a lot of runs and a lot of like. Bama may score quick, but I feel like Michigan's really gonna try and eat
First
the
game on
clock
the docket. It's going to be good weather. It's the Rose Bowl. The boys are going vertical.
pretty out there.
It's nice. Good grass.
You go. I'm still deep.
I'm going 38-21 Bama.
Damn.
Poof. Put it on the board.
We all pick Alabama. Michigan's winning, so you better pick Michigan.
Well, that's where I'm torn because it's going to be 34. I want to say 31. 34-31.
So you think, yeah, see, you're near the 40-ish.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it'll be push come to shove. The offense is going to put points on the board. I'm still torn on who's going to be the 34 and who's going to be the 31. I can see it going either way.
So you don't have a
You
gotta make a pick
I've got to
for the
make a
board.
pick. I got to. I like Bama. And I just
Okay,
didn't want
that's
to admit
fine.
it.
It's okay.
I didn't want to admit it.
It's okay. I don't think the Michigan people are going to come for us.
I mean,
in the
comments. As a Georgia
Maybe,
fan,
yeah,
I'll
maybe
just say-
I'm in the Midwest sometimes now, so maybe.
Oh,
Just
you
as a-
actually,
as a,
yeah.
As a
yeah.
A lot
UGA,
of Michigan
as a
focus,
UGA fan, I just need the team to beat us. Just go ahead
win
and
it.
yeah, just to make myself.
See, that would make me feel
better.
bad. But that's like Michigan. Like that's where I'm torn. Like they beat us, and it's our
Team up north. Though.
yeah.
So the other matchup
Surprised
though
you're
is
even saying
Texas
their name.
Washington, which is going to be high scoring affair.
Mhm.
And realistically, who do you trust more to put that kind of game plan up? And I've seen what Sark does with
Gonna be the
time.
corn shark.
I see what Sark does with time. I feel like he's going to have them boys ready, and they got a pretty good defense too. I know up front they're big. And yeah, I feel like
What's the
Texas. I feel
spread on
like
that? What's the
a Texas
spread?
Bama rematch is just like
Ooh, that'd
In the
be a good
cards.
one.
yeah.
And then I will take Bama. What is the spread on the Washington game?
I think it's
What's the spread
Three,
on let's-
Texas,
Let's
yeah.
talk spreads.
Yeah, I don't know.
1.5 Michigan.
But Texas really.
1.5 Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia was what 7.
Yeah, I don't know.
6.5.
But Texas marching into Bama and taking that victory early.
But it had to
Before
be
Bama had
early.
things
It
figured
had to
out.
be
That was-
early.
That was before they had it figured out.
It had to be early.
So, I mean, I don't really care to spend too much time on Texas Washington, but I do think it's going to be a fun.
UGA is only 20-point favorite.
20?
20 over Florida State. It's gonna be a high flying kind of
All
game.
right,
I just like Texas more.
I got Michigan
I think that
-2 and Texas -4.
Yeah.
I will say, just for a Washington argument, they have been the underdog a few times this season, and I think they like that little chip on their. I think they like that chip on their shoulder.
Grown man football team too. They're old.
And Penix likes that he's got that dog in him.
They can run the football too.
Yeah. Was it Duke,
and then
Duke Johnson? What's his name?
The
running back. He can go. He can go get it.
No, he can definitely go get it. Quinn. Gosh, dude, imagine if he had stayed at Ohio State. Throw up. But yeah. Quinn, they're gonna be. I mean, yeah, Quinn's gonna lead them Texas boys.
You think it's Longhorns?
I'm going Texas. Yeah.
See, I just been riding with Washington. I don't know why.
Because you like Penix. That's why.
I do like Penix.
I like Penix.
He got that dog in him, bro.
When he was at Indiana, they almost beat Ohio State. And that's when I was nervous.
I just seen that X factor when they need to make plays, he makes the plays.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it comes down to a point in the game where they need a last drive, like I trust him to do that. Do you trust Quinn to do that? Yeah,
I trust Sark to draw something up for Quinn.
Well, I think the only loss Texas has, right, is Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. And Oklahoma had the game-winning drive as time expired. But didn't Texas before that have a drive? Huh?
You want me to start my argument?
Sure.
Georgia's loss to Bama is worse than Texas lost to Oklahoma?
No, Texas lost to
I know.
Texas loss to Oklahoma is worse than Georgia's loss to Bama in the 13th game of the year. Which
that's what I'm saying.
Which goes to the next thing is the college football playoff and
that's what I'm saying. Like
what Chip Kelly said about it all.
Ohio State's only lost to the number one team in the nation.
Right. By 4?
6.
6 on the road.
On the road.
Yeah.
I think it may have been 4. I don't know. I blacked that out of my memory.
But this is where you get to the issue just about college football in general, in my opinion. Like
next year is going to be awesome.
When you look at the Big Ten and the fact that Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State are all in the same. Not only in the same conference, but in the same division of the conference.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
So, like, it's a dog. And the SEC West has been like that in the years past, too. SEC West has been like that in the years past. When you had LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Mississippi State when they were good. No, but I'm saying, but when they had some of those teams, like when they had some of those teams, like, I mean, that's a gauntlet, bro. Like,
yeah, and they're getting rid of the division, which
they should.
Which leads me to what we were talking about before. About the college football playoff and the divisions and all of that. And I really do think that they need to treat college football like the Premier League. So NCAA.
Like European soccer.
Correct.
I agree.
Hear me out. You got all these little small town programs, Georgia Southern, maybe a Cincinnati, a Charleston, if you will, a JMU, whoever, App State, who are Jacksonville State even, like
Coastal Carolina.
Correct. Who will
Tulane,
Liberty.
Yeah.
They will never get accepted to the ACC, SEC, Big Ten, whatever, because of just logistical reasons. I think what you should do is you should have the bottom tier of, let's say, the Big Ten, right? So whoever is at the bottom down there, I don't even know who's at the bottom. Maybe like, let's say the Northwestern or the Rutgers of the world, who they both won their bowl game, but those, let's say, bottom
shout
tier.
Out Big Ten.
Yeah, shout out Big Ten. And they need to play the top 2 of the lower tier to see who gets to stay within the Big Ten.
Yeah, like a relegation type thing.
Correct. And so that would promote the Georgia Southerns of the world that, hey, we have something to play for. Because if not, what are you playing for? The Myrtle Beach Bowl? Like,
yeah.
You're not playing for a national title. Like, you don't have the depth, and they know that. Like,
yeah.
They just don't have the dudes.
I do think it's an interesting argument.
Tough spot.
That Chip Kelly brought about, though, about make basically everyone independent. Because college football is kind of moving towards its own entity. And the fact that, like, a UCLA baseball is getting dragged into the Big Ten is just, like, not right to me. You know, and so college football needs to move towards its own entity and create some type of, like, almost like Super League for some of the Power Fives to where everyone's independent. If you play 12 games in a season, 8 of them need to be within your region, right? Like in the Southeast region. So Bama can still have play their Auburns, they can play the Georgias, Floridas, LSUs, you name it. But then the other 3 or 4 games that they schedule, they basically pair them just like they do in pro sports. Like this year, the Falcons played the AFC. What AFC did we play this year?
I don't even know.
Colts.
The AFC South. Yeah. We were paired with the AFC South. So we played out of conference games against the AFC South. So what you would do is your other 3 or 4 games you play out of region. So you would play like, okay, maybe the South plays
Northeast.
the West this year. So Alabama then gets matched up with a UCLA, a USC, not Fresno State, but like an Oregon, like other big time schools. And then you can start formulating a 12-team playoff or whatever based on records, because now you're actually getting like big schools playing big schools, which makes a lot of money, and we know that that's
never
what
see
the
each
decisions
other.
are all
like
about.
the only time those teams would see each other is like a bowl game,
right? And now you're getting out of some of the argument of what happened this year of Georgia getting left out, Ohio State getting left out, Florida State getting left out, which me as a spectator, I'm trying to like separate the two. Me as a spectator, it's like they did the right thing. Like Bama should have been in. They won the best conference, that whole kind of deal. They beat the number 1 team. They had won 29 in a row or whatever.
You could just watch their ACC championship game. Like they're not a
But the competitor me was like they beat every team that they were asked to beat.
Talking about
They
Florida
went
State.
they went undefeated. They won a Power 5 conference. They checked every box that was laid in front of them. They played LSU to start the season. Like I know that things are different because Jordan Travis isn't there, but as a competitor, it's like, I mean, what else? Like that's what
else you want me to do?
Yeah, that's gut wrenching.
Yeah,
Literally couldn't do anything else.
I definitely agree that. I mean and that's why the 12 team is going to be so good. I think that they should eliminate like the fluff games. Like Ohio State doesn't need to go play Akron. We don't need to go play even the University of Ohio. Like we need to play our Big Ten slate, which now is going to be interesting because it's going to be the Oregon, USC, UCLA, like Washington is coming into the Big Ten, plus your Michigan, Penn State.
Yeah, we're headed to Austin next year.
Yeah. So I'm saying, you need to play your games.
Texas, Oklahoma.
Because then
I think we start the season playing Clemson too.
Think about it. If you've got a more team playoff and they're going to validate like strength of schedule, of course you're going to want to go play. They can quit moving back the Ohio State Georgia game.
I know. That was
like
tough.
we can play
That should
quality
be like,
opponents.
Next year? Should
it
have been 24, 25? And it was like
originally,
8, 9.
and now it's like 32, 33. They'll probably cancel it, but you can play quality opponents, and then if you lose, it's like, well, now you can still.
As what happened in Bama and Texas, right?
Correct.
Like you schedule big boy football, and I'm shocked that they still allowed it because of, I know Georgia, Oklahoma, they banged it. They kept it, and
if Georgia plays Oklahoma and they win, they're in over Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think they win.
Probably. I mean, yeah, like it was funny. We were watching the game. I just like felt almost bad for Georgia fans. I'm like, the one team that could probably beat them, they had to play in the conference championship, who was motivated because they had to win to get in, and like they were rolling.
But you could kind of see Georgia starting to run into some problems, like towards the end of the season.
It was just a weird switch going from historically great defenses to relying on our offense to put up points.
Yeah.
Which is what this season was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which the offense was great all season, but you could see the holes.
But the calling card for them is defense.
Yeah.
And that's
you
Kirby's
could
thing.
see holes in the defense,
and that's
especially in the Bama game.
Yeah, and that's what has led them to that streak,
Yeah.
because defensively they were a
One flag
juggout.
against Bama.
Well, and it's
hurts
hard to
too.
continue.
They didn't have
to
the beef up front like they've had in years past.
replace
they didn't have
it over and over and over.
I mean,
again.
repeatedly replacing that kind of talent.
It's tough,
They're all in the
especially
league.
when you have other guys who are leaving to go play. I love when people get fired up about people transferring out of Georgia, Ohio State. I'm like, guys, it's like, well, there are 5-star. It's like,
Dude,
yeah,
my
but
mom
they're not going
takes
to
it-
play.
My mom takes it personally.
Well, and
She's like, why does he want to leave?
No,
He wants to play.
Well, part of it is they'll play, but they're going to be splitting snaps.
Correct. They're
And
not
they
the
want to
guy.
go somewhere that they're going to play 85% of the
Why
snaps.
Jameson left Ohio State to go to Alabama.
Yeah.
He wanted to go be the guy at Bama at Ohio State. He'd been competing with Olave, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, Jack Njigba. Like,
It's not a knock on either of those guys.
no, they just want to play. And they want a chance to make money in the league.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't fault them for making that decision. That's why
Well, you got
some of
AD
the-
Mitchell that's at Texas now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's the dog.
Adani,
Yeah.
and then
Well, I also heard
Jermaine
that a
Burton's at
little
Bama.
bit too was
Some family stuff too.
Yeah,
I
some
think,
family
yeah.
stuff.
But in that system, he's getting the deep ball. He did at Georgia too.
Well, and
He's
he would
kind
have
of a
been if he'd have
difference maker in
stayed
that
at
Bama
Georgia
game
like
last year.
now with Carson Beck and everything they got rolling.
But like the thing with Carson too, which was, dude, it's literally like almost like the run an NFL offense. I think he has like 7 or 8 or 9 people catching balls every game. It's not 1 or 2 people. Dude spreads the ball around crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, college football is. I mean, they got to make some adjustments. So we'll see what they're.
But in Georgia, optimism. Carson's coming back. Trevor Etienne, head of the
#1
Dogs.
recruiting class.
#1 recruiting class.
No,
we
it's
got
gonna be a reload
we got a couple secondary studs over here hinting on Twitter, getting me all excited, not bothered.
No,
yeah.
we're back.
Ohio
We're
State's
back.
going to be
We're
good
coming
too.
Yeah, just to, I guess, to wrap things up, move on to a little bit of some of the Major League Baseball offseason stuff with Ohtani and Yamamoto and some of the big
2 minutes.
signings. And then maybe just finish up, talk a little bit about some of the NBA or whatever we're feeling. Wow, you picked up the bat, right? We were talking
Let me tell you boys about some hitting.
I don't even want to give my thoughts. I just want y'all to run with it.
You talking about free
Baseball?
agency?
Yeah. Because it's been
Money,
slow.
money.
It's been slow. Like overall,
But it's been big.
slow.
It's
but
been slow, but
big.
yeah.
Big but
There's
slow.
some economies
I
out
don't know
there
what
that
to
are
believe this now.
getting boosted over the next decade.
Dude, I mean, yeah. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series,
How do you feel
This
that you
year?
were part of the reason the Dodgers decided to spend $1 billion?
That I was a part of the reason.
I mean, at one point, yeah.
Why? Because
Yeah,
we
because
beat
Because
them
what
in
the
the
Braves
playoffs.
did to him, because of old Tyler there.
but this year they didn't even make it that far.
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's, dude, it is just so much money getting thrown around. It
Well,
is
I mean,
insane.
let's just go ahead and start by saying this: like, MLB owners got money. All right, like
Oh yeah. No,
they
no.
got money.
Oh, they get
It's
that.
just do they want to spend it or not? And I think you can clearly see the Dodgers knew what they wanted. Weren't very active last offseason because they were saving up for what
This.
they just got for
Yeah.
Ohtani at $700 and Yamamoto at $325 or whatever it was, and then Glass now. Like they knew what they were doing, and they're fine with paying all the luxury tax penalties, this, that, and the other, and are just going to try and run with the juggernaut lineup. But the craziest thing is like baseball, like. You obviously need great players to win, but it doesn't guarantee you anything, man. Like, I would say baseball more than any other sport. Like, football, you need dudes. You just do.
Yeah.
You need dudes. The NBA, clearly, you need at least 3 dudes. And MLB is just not built that way, man. Like, it's such a funny game. There's so many variables. It's about getting hot at the right time.
all,
And like you saw what Arizona did this year, right? And even what Texas did. Like Texas was one of the best teams all year, struggled down the stretch. And then when they got into the postseason, man, like the switch flipped and they were just running through everybody.
You get hot, you get hot. I mean, look
Yeah.
at-
And
look at
in confidence and
y'all's
all
World
that,
Series
it's crazy.
title. Like you got hot,
same
you got
thing,
hot.
yeah. Same thing. I mean, we weren't the best team, but we were playing the best at
Dude,
the right
I
time.
remember
Because it was what? How many wins did y'all have that year?
Like 88?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I remember
We
at
didn't
the
give up 500 till
All-Star
August?
break.
yeah.
At the All-Star break, listening to, I'll never forget, driving in my neighborhood, and they were talking about how bad the Braves were and disappointment, this, that, and the other. And, oh, man.
It was at 500.
Y'all were,
Barry.
like,
We would
right
get
at
there
500,
and then
right?
just like go back,
maybe a
and
little
then get
below
two
We
it.
didn't
games
get
up.
above 500 till August.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Y'all were like
Yeah.
teetering.
We set an MLB record for most alternating wins. It was like 18 in a row where we won and then lost. We didn't win 2 in a row for like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, and so then y'all just got hot, and gosh, that was just such a fun time. Like I remember when y'all were just so on fire at that time, and when you all beat the Dodgers and Mitchell and I were there, I was like, oh, we're gonna win the World Series, and he's like, you think so? And I'm like, oh yeah.
It was just on our side that year, bro. Like
You could just feel it.
Yeah.
Like you could just feel.
it was on our side. Like we're hitting a lot of homers, which to be successful in the playoffs,
You
like,
have to.
you don't live and die by it, but it's
helps.
so
But you
hard
have-
to score it is so hard to score in the postseason by stringing hits together. And I think that's one reason why Arizona was so good, because they steal bases so well. So, like, one hit, they only need 2 an inning because they can steal a base. But, like, we were hitting a ton of homers, clutch times. Like, we in the pitching staff, like, our bullpen was unhittable. They were lights out. So, like, if we had a lead or were tied or close after the 5th, like, we were winning.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's just a different sport when it comes to stuff like that.
We even like the Cubs this year. Y'all got a little hot there for a second.
I mean, we were like a top. I remember having some pretty honest conversations with some folks in the beginning of June, because we weren't playing well. We were out in San Francisco. We just come off of we had gone to LA to play the Angels and gotten swept. And this was right after we not played great in San Diego. I think we split a 4-game series there, got swept against the Angels, and it was just like, this is not it. Had some really honest conversations, and we started playing a lot better. And from like June 3rd, I want to say, till early August, for about 2 months, we had like the, I don't know, 5th best record in baseball, 3rd best record in baseball.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm very much looking forward to that continuing this year. But just like you said, when you get hot and confidence builds, man, like baseball, you can get on a streak and you just get rolling and rolling and rolling, and it's fun, dude. It's so much fun.
Yeah, because I feel like it's kind of like when, you know, like when you're a little kid and when the bats get hot, like you just start hitting.
Contagious, bro.
It's
Offense is contagious.
Yeah.
And the bullpen, same thing. Like the bullpen gets contagious because you build a lead, and the next thing you know, like someone comes down and they lock down the inning, and then that just gives the next guy confidence to do the same thing. And we were just clicking on all cylinders. I think we just kind of ran out of gas. But no, I mean that's a fun time. But I mean, yeah, to your point, like when you get hot in baseball,
watch out.
Watch out.
Yeah, that's kind of like when, you know, the Phillies made their run 2 years ago. Like they were just
buzzsaw,
destroying the baseball.
Yeah,
homers.
And an elite pitching staff.
Yeah,
so it's
and the Atlanta roster was so good. I remember you and I were at Taco Mac watching the game, and we're just like, God, like we're just looking at our lineup on the screen. We're like, that is such a tough 1 through 9, like to get through.
Philly?
And then the Braves. But then they show the Phillies roster, and we're like, oh, that's a tough 1 through 9.
Yeah. When you're well, especially now this year, you're rolling out Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Castellanos, Real Muto, and some of the role players like Marsh and some of those guys were stepping up. Like, and even think about like when Hoskins was healthy, like, oh my gosh, man, like
I know
it was wow.
It's like we'd watch the games, and then we'd get an out and be like, all right, we got through him, and then here comes the next guy, and we're like, gosh, he's
hot, dude.
This guy's on fire as well.
I don't want to pitch
we always say like a bloop and a blast. Like that's like like all you need is a bloop and a blast. And
baseball is just funny.
They just kept blasting.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see kind of what happens this year. It's just baseball is just such like an emotional wave that I go through.
It's a marathon, bro. It's a roller coaster.
I get really excited in the beginning, and then I have to remind myself, like,
we got 9 more months of this.
Yeah, it still could possibly
I'm leaving for spring
Chicago.
February 7th. I'm leaving for spring, and then won't be back home until hopefully like November.
Yeah, I was gonna say
that's
kind of months.
That's kind of the other problem for us is like you leave in February, so we're like I'm already in it. Like I'm already thinking about it.
Right.
I'm already. And then obviously
we're gonna go to spring training this year.
Yeah.
Maybe the waste management. Anybody?
Oh,
maybe
some content. Talk about some
subscriber
content.
to the YouTube.
I mean, think about it though, dude. I got a great birthday this year. It's February 11th on Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday of the waste management. Like endless opportunities.
Oh yeah,
things.
it'll be a good time. But yeah, so baseball, man, I'm excited to see what y'all do this year. Love the atmosphere.
We got to talk about the one big move the Cubs made. Craig Counsell.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
So if you want to dive into that.
Have you talked to him? I guess we'll start there. Have you?
Yeah, so the news, like, I was blindsided about it too, right? Like, I didn't even know. I think I got a
notification and like sent it to you, I was like, "Is this legit?" Because it again,
What I say, I don't know.
Yeah, you're like, I don't, because it wasn't verified anywhere. It's just like in talks, and then it was like literally, I swear, like
it came together in like 24 hours.
Yeah,
bro. It was. Yeah, so actually, I texted him that day. I got his phone number. I texted him, and I knew he was busy, so I was like, "Just give me a call whenever."
Did he hit you back?
I was like, "Give me a call whenever, bro. Like, do not worry." He called me that day. We chatted. Loved everything he's about. I've heard from guys that have played for him, guys that were in Milwaukee, and everyone, they love him.
Yeah.
Everyone pretty much said like the highest of respects to him and what he does for a group. So excited to have him on board. Excited to see kind of how he runs things compared to other managers I've had in the past. I've only played for 2.
Right.
I mean, obviously Snit and Rossi, and loved them both. So just really interested to see like contrasting styles and how much it's different, how spring gets run differently. Like there's so many things that go into it. And
do you think it'll be like difference in the aspect of like when you went from Atlanta to Chicago, like how much different that was? Do you think it'd be that drastically different?
No, I think because now that there's some familiarity in terms of just people that I know, because I was walking into a brand new situation. Like I realistically only knew Rossi from some meetings that we had and like watching him growing up.
Yeah.
And then from Jed and Carter, two of our front office folks, just from talking to them as well. And I've known Ian Happ for a while because we kind of grew up playing against each other in the system. And then we're the same age and all that kind of stuff. So had some familiarity with him, but like I didn't really know anybody. And I had to get to know trainers, strength coaches, nutritionists, like you name it, teammates, what young kids are good, what young kids you need to be on the lookout for like, hey, they're going to come up and make an impact, and trying to find my own footing because I do well when I have structure and routine, and I like didn't have that anymore. And so really had to grind through that like early on in the year. In spring, I was horrible in spring. I was like 1 for my first 30.
Yeah, spring was rough. Spring was rough.
Rough.
That
I was wondering if I was ever going to be able to do it again.
Was your first hit a home run?
No, my first hit was actually a broken bat base hit.
That's how we like it.
And then I ended on a couple homers and started to feel better. But
bloop and blast.
But yeah. So I mean, I'm excited to see what he's about. I know he's pretty like introverted, but he knows what he wants and knows how to communicate that, and has done a really good job of putting together some other staff people that can kind of communicate that for him. Yeah. That can kind of be like the rallier, if you will. So I'm excited to just see what things are like. And I do know that he's a man of plans. Like he's got what he wants written down, drawn out. Like no one's ever going to tell him what to do in the game because he's already mapped it out a million times, a million different ways going into each matchup. So I think that he's definitely earned his stripes when it comes to managing a baseball game and managing a group of individuals and personalities and stuff like that. So I think he's going to be nothing but great for us. We obviously have a lot of room to get better on our team, and just hopefully be able to bring Belly back and maybe get a couple of left-handed bats, some more pitching, and I think we'll be really good. I mean, we got a good core group of guys, man. Like
the core is definitely there.
The core's there. Defensively, we're one of the best in the league, just in terms of overall production on defense, and base running is good. Like we got a great ball club. It's just a matter of pairing some of that with some of like the superstar talent, if you will.
Yeah, just putting those little pieces of the puzzle together.
Building a roster is tough, bro. Like we were just talking about with the Falcons earlier.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like building, just because you have great players doesn't mean success. Like they all have to work in sync, chemistry, culture, the whole thing. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That's what makes it when you do have something, it's so valuable because it just takes so much to make that, and then when it clicks, it clicks. So, I think that, I mean, it's obviously harder said than done, but the teams that have it, you can tell because they're consistently showing up throughout the years. Like you can tell right now, like we talked about, like Philly, like they got it. Whereas you have teams such as like maybe the Mets or the Yankees, who, yeah, they do have some superstar talent, but
You look like the Padres this past year.
Yeah, not
you
clicking.
know,
Something.
Toronto in a way. Like, yeah, baseball's interesting, man. Like, it's such a unique sport, and that's why that's why I love it so much. It's so beautiful. That's why, like, my obsession has grown so much in like how to build winning, because it's different for each group. It doesn't matter if it's the same exact group, man. Like, every year is different. Motivations are different. Guys maybe are trying to prove themselves for a next contract, or maybe they now have a kid, and like there's so many different variables that go into it. It's such a fun process to understand and to go through.
Yeah. Well,
you got the young heads trying to come up and make a name.
Yeah. Now you're turning into
you're an old head,
but you're getting there.
Head.
No, I am an old head. I'm about to be 30, bro.
Yeah, you're an old head, bro.
Yeah, find gray hairs every day.
Yeah,
30's not that old.
Already there.
I know.
I've heard it's your prime. Heard it's your prime. So
feel great.
Look good, feel good. Put on some weight this offseason.
Did you?
Yeah, gained like 7 or 8 pounds.
There we go.
That'll be gone by
It's
what?
like 192, probably like June. But the goal is to try and keep it on. That was honestly,
got a diet.
That was like
for
their
you,
big message to me this offseason was like, one thing to change would be
put weight on,
add
Keep
some
it
weight,
on.
and let's do our best to keep it on. So we've hired a chef, and she's been awesome. She cooks for us 3 times a week, and
can personally vouch.
yeah, dude.
Had my first
Shout out Cindy.
tonight. Yeah,
Cindy is literally the GOAT. She's the nicest lady in the world. She makes the best food.
Yeah,
It's been
and
an
you're
absolute
getting like
blessing.
nutritious value with it.
Yeah, like and she's been great at like, our big thing when we eat is all organic stuff and trying to do it as like locally as possible. So she's done a phenomenal job. Like, she does all the shopping and everything, and she's so good at like basically either homemaking everything or finding something from a local farm, or just getting everything as fresh as possible. And dude, it's made like the biggest difference.
Yeah, I just made that switch myself because I've noted. I actually talked to Lexi about it the other day. I'm kind of going more towards like I would not say a carnivore diet, but
You eating liver now?
Let's
brother?
do
No,
some
no, no,
liver.
no.
Let's get some tongue.
No,
in that.
if you're gonna start going towards
Dude,
a carnivore diet,
we can
get a nutritionist on and talk about it all. But
dude,
from what I've seen, if you're doing a carnivore diet, you got to add a little liver, you got to add a little heart in there,
Some tongue,
You
maybe.
got to get some of the gizzards in there, brother.
like I said, we're not.
Have you ever had fried gizzards?
No.
See
Well,
that?
fried just takes it all out of the equation.
No.
I'm above the Mason-Dixon
I
line
know
where I'm
it.
from.
I know.
Um,
We're gonna get you some liver, some fried
So
liver.
yeah, I've been doing basically like just trying to stay outside of the aisles. So anything,
in the grocery store, you hit the
perimeter.
hit the outside. Don't go
the
on the
inside's all the processed stuff.
Yeah, I don't want that. So I've been trying to eat like a little bit more
Where you
eggs.
essentially have like what? Your produce, meats, and then like dairy.
So like for example, I'm trying to get like my
Eggs.
sugars and carbs basically from like my
Fruits, yeah.
right, and not
That's my one. That's
bread or something like
If
that.
I got a downfall, it's that.
Yeah,
She makes dessert for us, and
I saw
I can
the
also
brownie.
personally vouch for the brownie.
Mitchell had a bowl when I walked
My
in.
boy's gonna have a good time keeping them 7 pounds on.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do that, but it's amazing too. Like when you really dedicate yourself to a good diet, like just how much better you feel.
Well, and so I don't know if I've talked about it on this, but the biggest changes that I've made in my diet, other than really being conscious about like the source of where I'm getting everything from, is tried my best to cut out gluten, which has made a difference.
Did you?
Not because
was
I'm
that
like,
in your head, or like you like ran tests or something?
So I have a nutritionist. We'll bring him on at some point, Dr. Ara. And he basically early on was like, listen, I think that if you cut out gluten, not because you necessarily have an allergy, but gluten and peanuts are the most contaminated sources of food that we have in our society, in America. And he's like, I really think that has inhibited you to producing some of like the hormones and testosterone, everything that you need to be successful. And so the first year I did it, I hired him before my last year in Atlanta, and I played all 162. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, that's the reason, because there is some fortune into it in terms of injury and all that kind of stuff. So that was one thing, was cutting out gluten and peanuts.
162 is 162.
Facts. Cutting out gluten and cutting out peanuts was huge. And then the next big thing that he preached to me was like, what kind of water do I drink? And I was like, well, I drink Essentia. Like that was kind of like, we'd kind of bought into that whole hype, right? And he said, anytime you drink, doesn't matter where the water's from, if you're drinking out of plastic,
it's no good.
It's going to be full of microplastic toxins. And he could tell by my blood work that my toxicity level from plastic was really high. So he suggested that we get...
Because my boy thought he was down in some waters.
You thought your pH level was high. It's not the only thing that's high in the blood, brother.
Yeah. So he suggested us getting this thing called Berkey filter. And y'all have seen it. It's like a big silver canister. And
it's like something.
It literally
like
filters everything out of the water. So
it does, yeah.
We do our best to drink all of our water from there in a nice like canister, basically, like a
just not plastic.
Yeah, just try and stay away from the plastic. And so those three things, I think, in simple for we talked about sports, but here we are on health.
Yeah.
If those things work for me, not saying they work for everybody, but I do think the water. The source of where you're getting your food from and the water that you're drinking is probably two of the easiest things I think you can fix. Because, those Berkey filters are not cheap, but when you buy it once and you just pour your tap water into it, you just fill it up every night, it makes a big freaking difference.
Yeah, I noticed too, like I was, obviously the prices of everything is crazy right now for the grocery store. But when I was buying some ground beef, I was noticing like
carnivore diet.
Yeah. I was noticing, so I go to the grocery store in the morning after I lift, but the local stuff is at the top. And so I was like, oh, let me just see, what they have to offer. First thing you'll notice is it's packaged completely different. Like it's like airtight, like it's like legit. Second thing you'll notice is the color of the meat is different. And then it was actually cheaper than like, let's say Kroger brand or whatever the brand is that the meat that I was getting of 93.7 or whatever. And so I was like, interesting. And so I've been eating that and it's been like so much better. Obviously like pasteurized eggs and stuff like that goes a long way. And you'll notice too, like when you're eating good quality food that's not processed, like I just feel so much fuller through the day.
Yeah.
Which for a man of my size, that is a big deal. And just hearing peanuts is not good for you. That's tough. Everyone knows.
Mason's a big
Gosh,
peanut
dude,
butter
I could
guy.
really, I don't need to be sponsored by Jif, but if I was, I'd be a great spokesperson.
Let's get you on some better peanut butter then.
Well, I've been.
It's the tried
now
and
we're
true.
diving
now
really
we're talking
deep
in the 90s.
because
We're talking
I've been in
90s.
I've been in PB2 powder. It's been a little. I've been mixing it up, making my own little
PB.
peanut butter. It's a little bit better for you than the.
I think we can do better than that.
I've cut it out completely. I've gone cold turkey. I'm not having withdrawals, but I see it every day when I open the pantry.
You got to get it out of
throw
there,
those
dude.
out.
Yeah, it's got to go.
That's sick. You're just like looking at it.
It's like a mental test. But yeah, there's a lot going on in the sports world. We got on a little health. That's kind of what happens.
Yeah, that's what happens with us. We get on a little health kick.
Get on a little health kick.
But that's what to expect from this podcast moving forward. Fun topics. I promise we'll bring some great guests on. I know we got one lined up with Mike Brumley and his son Logan. They do all my hitting stuff in the offseason and throughout the year. But a lot of good content coming forward, and get my wife on here soon, and just a bunch of other awesome guests. So appreciate y'all listening.
Yep.
Subscribe to YouTube. 1,000 followers will give away a Dansby bat.